Welcome, dear listeners, to another thought-provoking episode of the Dad Shoes Podcast, the show that helps you step into the challenges of modern parenthood with confidence and purpose. I'm your host, Johnny.
And I'm your other host, Connor. And today we're going to tackle a topic that's been on every parent's mind, navigating screen time.
Picture this. It's the 21st century and screens are an inseparable part of our lives. Smartphones, tablets, computers, televisions, they've all become constant companions, especially for our children. But as dads, we're left grappling with a complex question. How do we help our kids navigate a digital landscape while fostering a healthy balance?
In this episode, we're diving headfirst into the world of screen time, the good, the bad, and the strategies that'll help us find our footing. We'll explore how to make informed choices, set boundaries, and ensure that screen time serves as a tool for learning and connection rather than a digital babysitter. Because babysitters was last episode.
That was last episode. We know how to find babysitters now. Whether you're a tech-savvy dad or still adjusting to the digital age, we've got insights and ideas that might resonate with you. We'll bring together personal stories, expert advice, and relatable experiences, all designed to help you tackle this vital aspect of parenting.
So slip into your comfy dad shoes, find a cozy spot, and let's embark on this journey of exploring the digital world with our kids.
We'll dive into questions like, what's the impact of screen time on children's development? How do you set healthy boundaries? And what are the best practices for managing screen time at different ages?
But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the Dad Shoes podcast on your preferred platform. Your feedback means the world to us, and it keeps us motivated to continue sharing valuable insights for the modern parent.
So settle in, relax, join us in our quest to master the art of navigating screen time with our children.
So, John, tell me about your kid's relationship with screen time. Quick summary.
When I was a kid, I was really into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This sounds exactly like the question you asked, doesn't it?
I think so.
I used to get super angry if I couldn't watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And my mom would take it away. She's like, no, we don't watch that in our house anymore. And a few years ago, we got that way with Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. It was time to go. It was time to put TV away or do whatever. We hadn't been watching it all night, but we'd been watching enough that, whatever. It was time to go. Turn it off. And it turned into a screaming match. I think my oldest was only 2 at that time. She was prime Mickey Mouse Clubhouse age. And nope, we took it away. We're done with it. If it's going to be a fight, we're done. It goes away. That gets taken away. So last weekend, it was like Friday night. It was movie night. And it was time for bed. And we'd watched a lot of movies. We got home early. I think we were all home by before 5. We had a movie on right away. So we watched 2 movies. And then it was time for bed. And it turned into a fight. I'm like, listen, if this is how it's going to be, we're not going to have any screen time this weekend. None at all. No tablets, no TV, nothing. And that lasted until we woke up in the morning. And we're like, okay, we'll sleep in a little bit. And it wasn't that I was, it was just, okay, yeah, sure, go play on your tablet and have fun. It was, the kids came in and they're like, we want to watch PBS Kids. And I'm like, no, we're not doing screen time. But we just want to watch PBS Kids. I'm like, you know what? All right, you get 3 episodes, and then we're gonna clean the house. So, you get an episode or 2, and then we're gonna clean the house. And then it turned into 3 episodes, and then we did turn them off and clean the house, and then we played with Legos, and then it was quiet time. So the tablets came back, and
like nothing ever happened.
Like nothing ever happened. But it was different though. It wasn't just they weren't watching Super Kitties, which I hate. Super Kitties. It's just I hate it. I hate everything about it. They were watching
it's right up there with who's the kid with the round head and the swirl? Coco Melon.
We don't watch that. I heard bad things about it before I had kids. So we don't do that, fortunately. But no, and it wasn't like they were watching that. They were watching the Wild Kratts or something, which I can always get on board with some Wild Kratts. So anyways, we try not to do a lot of screen time, but I gotta say, if we average an hour a day, that would make sense. Like some days we don't watch anything.
Hour a day, really?
We'll go a week without touching the tablet. But then that weekend, they're on it all day. Which I'm not saying it's a good thing.
So like weekdays, there's not a lot of screen time, but weekends, you make up for it.
And it's kind of hit or miss. Like, we try to do no screen time during the week at all. When I was a kid, we couldn't watch TV during the week. And as I got older, that kind of changed. We could watch some shows, but it was like, yeah, because mom and dad want to watch these shows. So
yeah, so it sounds like there's some conversation we can have about consequences, and that could be a whole other episode on its own. I will say, particularly with screen time, the one thing that my mom always says is like, don't take away something you're going to regret taking away.
Man, that is some sage dad advice right there.
Which often is a screen, I hate to say. So,
no, that is, yep.
Like, because sometimes you got to get something done. And it's like, okay, well, let's have a little bit of screen time. So my kids, I grew up with the TV on constantly.
Really?
Like, just background noise. Just, it was on. It was on for something very different from my wife. My wife did not.
Oh, but not like as a babysitter for you.
No, not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
It just was on, when we were watching it or we were doing something else. I remember when I was a kid, we'd have a computer in the same room as the TV, and you'd be playing the computer, but you'd also be watching something on the TV. We were playing.
That was my high school.
And it was like, hey, no, I'm claiming both of these, which leads to a discussion later on in this episode. So the TV was just always on. And so my kids suffer from that a little bit too. On the weekends, we really focus on not limited, but like making sure we manage the screen time. But on weekdays,
having good screen time management.
Right.
Yeah.
Weekdays in the mornings, PBS Kids, educational things only in the morning. So they get like one episode of something PBS Kids before school. And when they're at school, their schools don't really do screens. So we don't have to worry about it there. Right. And then when they come home, we usually try to kick them out to the backyard for at least 15 minutes.
Get out of my house.
Yeah. Come in, go out, depending on the weather. But every day my son comes home and he says, hey, Daddy, can we play Switch? Like, every day. That kid loves to play Switch.
Yeah.
And we usually, like, depending on how his day went. Now, this was another, like, do you take it away, do you not kind of thing. We'll have a whole discipline episode in the future, I'm sure. But I feel kind of spiteful when I find, like, the thing that my kid loves, and then that's the thing I hold over them. Well, if you don't listen, I'm going to take away the Switch.
You feel bad about it.
Maybe it's effective in getting a reaction, but it's not always effective in getting the desired result.
Yeah.
But again, we'll have another episode about discipline. All that to say, we've come to kind of an agreement where if he had a good day at school, he can play Switch. If he had a bad day at school, he cannot play Switch when he comes home. And we've had some positive results with that.
I mean, that does tie directly into this.
Yeah. We've had some positive results with that in our house. My daughter, she doesn't care. Like, she likes watching shows, but she's like, I'll go play in the backyard in the dirt. I don't care.
Your daughter, man, we've talked about her. She is
totally fine. Just going and playing in the mud. Like, she'll watch shows on her tablet. She doesn't really do games on her tablet. She just watches Disney. That's all she really does on it. I wish she'd play more games. My son plays games. He finds things to do, like interactive things. But my daughter just watches Disney. And it's Super Kitties. It's Elena of Avalor.
I like Elena sometimes.
And you know what? This should be a whole section on this episode. Because my kids, when they have their tablets, like, you gotta monitor. You gotta see what they're watching. Because my kids always find these weird Russian family videos. Yeah, it's like a Russian family, and they're just acting things out. They're speaking English, right? But it's like this Russian family, and they're acting out a baking thing, or they're acting out a superhero thing, And it's like, what is this, like, weird Russian propaganda that my kids seem to love?
Do you have do they have, like, Amazon tablets?
Yeah, this is on the Fire tablet. But they find it, like, on YouTube. It's all over YouTube Kids.
Oh, so that's weird. I don't think my kids have access to. I
Maybe
did
not. It's
find,
not a native app
yeah.
on an Amazon tablet, but my kids have found like a workaround. They like go into the web browser somehow, and get into like YouTube,
You got to check your parental settings.
which is terrifying.
Yeah.
But I do try to keep a pretty close eye on what are they coming across on YouTube, and they find this like Russian family, and it seems harmless enough, but it makes me uncomfortable. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know because we've had this conversation before. We had it before our reboot. When we do with the Fire tablet specifically, there you can do like parental control, but
Yeah, but they're not
great.
They're not great.
Yeah, because like I downloaded certain things. I got ABC Mouse. I've got Disney Plus. There's a coloring app and like a Lego app that we downloaded onto the kids' games and tablets, and they don't play them at all. Like they never use ABC Mouse, but ABC Mouse, in order to use it, has to be attached to the internet. And if it's on the internet, then they get all this Dr. Panda crap and Hello Kitty stuff. And not that either of them are bad, but those aren't apps I want my kids on because I don't know what they are.
And I have found a way, like, the thing that I don't like about the Amazon Fire tablet as a parent is when your kids are young, there's no, like, app store. The apps are just all there. They're just on the screen. And I have recently discovered that you can change that. And really, it happens when your kids get older. Like, when you get into the older settings, then it looks more like... Because if you have a Fire tablet for yourself, it's like a traditional tablet. Like, there's an app store that you go into. You download your apps. They're on your home screen. If you spent enough money, then you don't have ads on your lock screen. I don't know if they do that anymore, but I don't think... My kids' tablets don't have ads on the
kids' tablets they've got a lot more going for them. But it's a regular tablet, and you can go into the settings and just open it up as your tablet. So
yeah, and you can change that. I have discovered recently where it only has like the downloaded apps, and then it's like a more traditional app store kind of function, and it's up at the top, like there's categories, and they can pick a category, and that'll take them into the app store. But for just general use, it's like here's the things you have downloaded, because we also, you and I, have taken a different approach to the Fire tablets in this way. And this is a tip for parents if you have recently purchased a Fire tablet for your kids, maybe for Christmas, is they don't tell you when you first start up your kid's Fire tablet, they give you 1 year free of Amazon Kids Plus. And that is what gives you access to all the apps in the App Store for free. So,
all the Dr. Panda and Hello Kitty crap.
Yeah, all that random, like, some of it's educational. You know, my son's found a couple that are good and fun. And
I don't know that they're bad. I just don't know what they are. And I have it specifically set that my kids cannot download anything without my permission. It asks me for permission. It doesn't on those. Yeah, I want to go download the coloring app. I have to give them permission. They want to go download Dr. Panda anything? Nope. They just get it. What the heck?
Yeah. Well, and it's part of the Amazon Kids Plus. So you get that for a year for free, and then I think after that it's like $5 a month.
Holy smokes! You don't have it.
Yeah, it's just we do. We still have it.
Oh wow!
Because, and maybe now we could probably turn it off because my son he doesn't play those kind of games on his tablet anymore. He's found a couple other things that are a little bit more age appropriate now that he's a little older, and my daughter just watches Disney.
Right.
And you don't need Amazon Kids Plus to do that, so I'll have to revisit that. When I was working with teenagers, it seems like parents are just anti-technology, right?
What?
Like a lot of parents that I have worked with in middle school and high school or in the church, they're like anti-technology. Like, they like hate their kid's phone is what I'm getting at.
Huh.
It's like, they're like, my kid's always on their phone.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Oftentimes, oftentimes, if you look at the parents, they're on their phones just as much, if not more.
It's unnerving when you realize how much you're on your phone.
I want to ask you, you can go into the settings, into the digital wellness.
Digital wellness.
Yeah, I believe it's...
Listen, guys,
on
if
my
you've
phone,
got
it's
an iPhone...
digital well-being.
If you've got an iPhone, you can just skip ahead for like however long this
Yeah.
conversation
Well,
is.
there's an iPhone version of this. I don't know what it is.
But this isn't
you
it.
can see your screen time. You can see your screen time. In Android settings, it is called digital well-being, and it'll show you your app time. And what I find more terrifying is it'll show you how many notifications you got. It'll show me what categories of apps are being opened and what kind of categories are am I looking at or sending me notifications. But what's more terrifying to me as someone who's anxious and will pick up my phone as a nervous habit, how many times did I open my phone that day?
Wait, where do you see that?
Unlock my phone. If you click on the first, like the time.
Oh, neat.
So my time, what's your time for today?
2 hours and 53 minutes.
2 hours.
That's-
I got you beat.
That's not
2
actually
hours
very
and
good.
18 minutes.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
so that's not actually a very good estimate of my phone usage, because I and phone usage, not screen usage, because I don't often look at it when I'm using it. Most of the time during the week, I'm doing like music, podcasts, audiobooks, because they're just constantly running while I'm at work. Because I can have it going.
It should tell you that, like in the categories, what kind of thing you're looking at. So,
Well, apparently I only listened to 23 minutes of audio then, which I know is wrong, because I listened to two 20-minute podcasts and a 15-minute podcast and an hour-long podcast, and then I was listening to an audiobook for the part of the day and music for the rest of it.
so today I was 2 hours and 18 minutes. My longest this week was Tuesday, 3 hours and 46 minutes. Yeah, and today was my shortest, 2 hours and 18. So like 2 to 4 hours is usually
40 unlocks today.
only 40. I have 94.
Most of those unlocks were because Hoopla doesn't like to work all the time, and I'll push play on my headphones, and then all of a sudden I'm an hour behind. Anyways, my mom always yells at me for being on my phone, especially around the kids, which is, it's fair. Whatever.
Mine too.
She like, don't be on your phone. And one of her things when like she'll yell at us for whatever reason, and you're on your phone all the time around your kids and you're not being with your kids. And anyways, she's taking a picture of us, and Bluey did a great episode of this with Mr. Bob Bilby. Bob Bilby.
Yeah.
And they're all, like, she took pictures like that, and it was funny. And she started taking pictures of people, which, okay. She started taking pictures of people out and just sending it to us, to me.
Like people you don't know.
Oh, like we'll be at a restaurant and we'll be talking about something, and I have like crippling ADHD, and if I think of something, if I don't look it up now, I'm gonna forget. And it's clearly It's not that important, right? Is what I always thought, but it's like, no, this is something I want to know about. So I'll pull out my phone when we're at dinner, or when we're eating dinner, or I'll do something like that. And we try to make a rule: no phones at the dinner table. It's always been a rule.
Yeah.
Even since I was in high school, there's no phones at the dinner table. But like sometimes I'm just looking up how I'm gonna make this really cool dessert, right? Anyways, so she'll send me a picture of some couples she saw where they're on their phones, and that seems to be like the trend now. It's like, let's make fun of people who are on their phones all the time, but then you're constantly on your phone too. So
Yeah. You have to pull your phone out. It's double-edged sword.
Got to pull your phone out to do it. Or was it already out and in your hand, and you just looked up and noticed?
Oh, yeah. Now, I've always been a little bit more lenient to screen time personally. We're a couple of those digital natives, right? We grew up with technology and Facebook and smartphones, and all that stuff was really popping when we were in high school and middle school. And I grew up with video games, and I turned out okay, right? But if you're a parent, sure. But if you're a parent, especially a newer parent, and you had kids, particularly through the pandemic, there was a big to-do about screen time, a big hullabaloo. All I can think of is these really old, tacky words to describe how people were feeling about screen time during the pandemic. It was a problem, y'all. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah. But we were all worried because what are we going to do? We can't go to the playground. Our kids can't go to school. They're getting Zoom fatigue. Well, we have noticed through a couple studies that there are some impacts of prolonged screen time. So parents might not always know what their children are much screen exposed to. And on that screen time, children can be exposed to things like violence and risk-taking behaviors, videos of stunts or challenges that may inspire unsafe behavior. That's one of my favorites. I mean, how many times do you see something I like? I want to try it. Absolutely. I never wanted to do any of that though, but it sure was funny. Yeah. I mean, and and isn't like YouTube and all that like that's how parkour like exploded, right? You saw these people doing these crazy jumps and stuff off high ledges and like, oh, I'd give that a shot. But some of the things they may run into, maybe not when you're two. But some of the impact you don't always know what your kids are finding, and they could be running into cyberbullies, they could be running into predators. You could start to see advertising aimed at children, or just finding misleading or inaccurate information. And too much screen time can lead to a couple other problems that you may see in behavior, namely sleep problem. So, I know this is something that we've both struggled with kids.
Sure. Sure. I mean, it was kind of old and tacky, the feelings about it, though. Right. I mean, listen, I know we're a family friendly podcast and all. And I think this is family friendly. Didn't you ever watch Jackass as a kid? I mean, like they went beyond like the that'd be fun. But like I before that was a thing, I'd push friends really fast through the parking lot in a shopping cart. I mean, that wasn't unheard of for me as a kid. Yeah, right. Let's go try this stuff. Yeah, at least not with me trying to spot you. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, true. Totally. Wait, having sleep issues, and now I don't know that sleep problems are my kids' sleep troubles are relatable to screen time because we always have a problem. Like on Friday night, it's movie night, and we've discussed getting rid of movie night, and that's a topic for us as a family to have. But like we just our kids will frequently. It's bedtime. It is 8. We go to bed before 8, but it is after 8 o'clock, and they're still awake. And geez, just the other day, my youngest didn't go to sleep until 9 o'clock. She was just yakking away and came out of her room, kept coming out of the room, and I think it becomes a discipline issue at that point. But they hadn't been on their tablets that day, you know. So what? Where's that? It wasn't like, okay, let's put our screens down and go to bed. I don't want to go to bed. It's 9 o'clock and I'm not asleep. It wasn't any of that. It was just it's. She just got back out of her room. Yeah. Huh. I thought that was called being an adult. Right. Right. Sure. Right. Or before TikTok, Facebook, or Twitter,
Yeah.
Pinterest. Yeah. Yeah.
So no screen time before then. Yeah, I recently watched a video on YouTube from a channel called Answers in
Mm-hmm.
Progress. I check
Yeah.
out some of their stuff because they just try to dig into like a deep question, and the question they were trying to answer this time is
Same
like,
blue
why are we
light.
all so sleepy? Like, I'm tired all the time. Why are we tired all the time? And they did a little bit of a dive talking to a
Sure.
Yeah, that's just being an adult, man. Buckle up. Get a cup of coffee. Let's go. Even before you have kids. Like, they didn't have kids. They're still tired all the time.
Right.
But they talked to a sleep scientist a little bit about it. And they brought up this issue of, like, blue light. And, how many people, like, the trope of getting in bed and you pull out TikTok and you're awake for 3 hours. Laying in bed, scrolling through TikTok. Or Facebook or Twitter or anything else. Pinterest. Oh, man, Pinterest will get you. Huh? It just keeps going.
Okay.
It's like a rabbit hole. The sleep scientist said, like, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of truth to that. Like, the light spectrum, blue light is a little bit harsher, right? And that's what's coming out of screens. But, the conclusion actually came to was that it was more about what you were doing with your phone. Like, because I know I'll get in bed and I'll read something on my phone, and I can't stay awake. I'm trying to read something. I can't stay awake. I'm falling asleep. I'm trying to get through, finish the chapter. Same blue light, but I'm getting sleepy. And so they, this makes sense. This is, I guess, we need 15 my anecdotal evidence to this is I've noticed it depends on what you're doing on your phone. If you're on TikTok, like, if it's something that just triggers you to keep swiping, to keep going to the next thing, watch one more episode, watch one more TikTok, that's going to keep you up. Now, how this plays with kids,
like people playing video games,
we had recently changed our bedtime routine. And originally in our bedtime routine, we get a bath, we come out, we get, we drink milk. And this was all me. This was my idea. This is my fault. Milk before bed. Yeah, a little bit, like, fill the tummy up, make sure they don't get out of bed. We are going to do a sleep routine episode later. If you were in the first ride of the Dad Shoes podcast, you already heard way too much about our sleep routine because we talk about it all the time. But this one is pertinent to screens because a part of our bedtime routine is we would watch YouTube, and everybody got a pick. And so it was like, it started with just songs. Like, let's pick one song. Everybody gets to pick a song. And it was really just to kill time. It was like, I need...
Oh, goodness.
Right. We need 15 more minutes, or, like, one of us is doing the dishes, and they just need, like, 10 more minutes.
No more
and then they'll be done with the dishes, and then we can, go into bedrooms and do whatever. And so it started with that, and then it eventually got to the point where we weren't just doing songs. My son started watching, like, video games, like people playing video games, which those videos, So we watched on YouTube like 3 different Zelda games from beginning to end. Somebody just playing them, because we would do it like 10 minutes at a time.
That's funny.
We give them a little chunk, and my daughter would pick a song, and
that's funny.
My wife and I would pick songs as well. But my son just would want to watch these video games, and then my daughter got really into this hamster that goes through mazes.
Or we'll sing a song, and as they've
we just had like all these different phases. It's a real hamster, and it was like, let's watch the hamster go through this maze. And we just got on all these little tropes, but these videos were taking forever, and it changed from like
with your children
10 minutes of YouTube to like 30 minutes of YouTube, because everybody's picks were getting so long. So, and we noticed our kids. And regularly, we were not getting them to sleep until like 9 o'clock.
Saying what she just read.
Eventually, we finally had to like cut it off.
Come up and she'll say,
"Oh, what?
That's
no more YouTube.
So and so or whatever." And it's like
the kids took it.
Yeah, honey, it is.
They took it better than I thought they would.
Like clearly, she just.
I thought we were going to get a little bit more of a fight. We replaced YouTube.
But if you ask her to read.
Book time, because usually we would watch YouTube and then separate and then read books separately. Now we just read books together, and it has dramatically moved the bedtime.
And
time.
This is something that
like
we're
kids going
get
down
into
time,
because
like now they're down much closer to like 8:15, 8:30.
That when you learn from your screen, right, as a child, as an adult, totally different. But as you're learning as a child on your screen, and it may be how to write, it may be how to read. For some reason, that doesn't translate to the real world. Now, I haven't seen that anywhere else. It was somebody on NPR, and they were referencing their book, but it didn't come up in our research for screen time, which you would have expected it to come up, especially since the algorithm knows I love NPR. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, on the screen all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on
Right.
on my list right here, reading fewer books, effects of screen time.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Go off the grid. This is why the setting of screen time
And I
limits
hate some
and
of this stuff. I
content
hate to include
parameters is
because
so important.
I don't want to sound
especially for children,
like a fear monger.
because this doesn't. None of this
And
stuff.
sure, some of
is
these are
only
things
for
that
children.
could
It applies to
happen, but
everyone.
really, unless
But
screen time is
the
out of
Academy,
control,
the American
I
Academy
think we'll be
of
able to
Pediatrics
manage. And,
discourages.
part of the
media
reason we wanted to
use
cover
for
this
video time.
topic is
I feel like
because
they had to put that
going
in
through
like
COVID,
a,
and everybody was kind of freaking out about
voice.
screen time. Like, my kid is
so
going to be
that's how I
stunted
read it.
because they're on their screens too much, and it's like, no, dude, they're going to
And
be
now
fine.
we can do
like,
it. The first time we ever video
make
chat,
some
Skype
adjustments,
was brand new.
as you go.
And
But some of the
it was-
other
it was my
things that
mom,
people
my
list,
brother and me,
effects of
and
too much screen time, less
Skyped
time
my
with family and
grandmother,
friends, and an effect
or
or
it was my brother and me,
weight
and we
problems,
Skyped
mood
my mom and my
problems.
grandmother. She
This
had to
is
teach her
a
music.
social media
And-
thing, poor
and
self-image,
we
and
were
body
talking
image issues
for,
if
I
you're
don't know, a couple
comparing
minutes,
yourself.
and
Like,
she
yeah,
started
these are
crying. My
all
grandmother started crying.
things that
It's like,
can
"Well,
happen
why are you crying?"
with screen time, and this
And
is
she
why
was-
it's important. But it's
Because
not
when I
something
was a
to
little
like
girl,
raise the
they
roof
said
about.
that in the
It's not
future
something to
this
like
is what- and now we
throw
live
out
in
every
the
screen and
future.
like
It
get
was-
rid of
it was
everything
the
and
cutest
going
thing ever.
full Amish. We're going full off
It was
the
adorable,
grid.
but anyways,
It's probably a much more appropriate way to say that.
Children younger than
With
18,
no
18
screens.
months, no screen time.
Just
and then
be aware of some of the things that can happen. Be aware of what your kids are doing.
all day. Yeah, that I can see that, man. Listen, you put the baby in the crib. Or
Well,
in the
Grandma
playroom,
wants to talk
put
to her
up-
grandbabies.
Put Skype up there. She's talking to mommy. Mommy's doing her work at or daddy. I mean, sorry. Parent is doing their work at and then they look over. Oh, hi, little baby, and the baby's all excited because they see it. That's babysitter right there. Done. Yeah. That's a little bit different though. But they say that on the American Academy of Pediatrics, if you want to introduce media to children, you can do it about 18 months to 24 years. 18 to 24 months. But you got to make sure that it's high quality.
That's adorable.
And you're with them. So like you want to watch the Wildcrats, right? I think that's pretty high quality media.
What's interesting is I have a similar article from Forbes Health, and the way they word it, I think, is
But
funny
that's
because they
something
say
you
for
could,
children
you could
under
put it on,
the age
you
of
could
2
watch
years
it
old,
together,
it is recommended very little screen
Bluey,
time with the
those are
exception of
like
video
things that
chatting.
parents-
So, like, if
I'll
you're
watch
video chatting,
Right.
like, no
It's for
Instagram
parents.
for babies, but
Bluey's
that
for
baby
parents.
can be on Skype
and
all
then once
day. That's
they're
how I read
between
this.
2 to 5. They
All day
they recommend
Skype.
limiting it to about an hour a day of high quality.
Not to throw you
So,
off, but
again, except on weekends. They say
yeah.
ellipses, brackets, except on weekends. Yeah. Or if they do the chores, right? An extra 30 minutes. I heard.
I mean,
this,
we basically had
somebody was
that.
talking
I
about
mean, we had a
things that they do with
you
their
know
kids.
with the baby monitor,
And one
right?
of the rewards they get for doing chores is like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of screen time. Exactly.
Nope.
Yeah. And I think that's actually really, once they're old enough to understand, that's really great. A great idea.
Right. And we'll get into our content, our high quality content recommendations at the end of the episode here.
Sort of.
together. Bluey.
Sure. Like for you or for the kid? Oh, okay. Well, because like for me, I use. You can't see this, dear
Except
listener,
on weekends,
but
right?
Connor can. My screen is in grayscale. My phone is in grayscale. At 10 o'clock every night, it goes into grayscale. And it's like,
Except on
really,
weekends.
it's just like a signal.
Or if they do their
to, like,
chores. If they do
stop
their
using your
chores,
phone,
it's sort of
get ready for
free
bed.
game.
Right. And I don't really use my phone all that much
Yeah.
after 10 o'clock. And there was a time I did. But, you know, by 10 o'clock, my phone's not in my hands. I might look something up on it or send a text to somebody. But normally, I'm not on my phone after that late.
Yeah.
But it
No,
does
I've
go to
seen that,
grayscale.
Like
me
you get like little
to,
tokens
like,
or something while you work,
help
and you can kind
my
of trade
going
this.
to
It's all
bed
about
health.
time limit.
But I have,
and each token is a certain amount of
I've pretty
time.
much
So
taken them off
the
now.
more chores you do, the more
It used
screen
to
time
be
you get.
time limits on the kids' tablets, and the problem was I wanted to add some time for like book,
Yeah.
right? So it was books. You get.
So have you
gotta
ever
read this
used
much time in books
the
before
built-in
they're not
parental
books on the
limiters
Amazon tablet,
on your devices?
which is surprising. And then it's not like
I mean,
it's not like
I
would
have used
expected them to
the.
be like.
I mean,
The
obviously we
Catcher
use
in
the
the Rye.
content
I don't know
limiter.
why
We
I
say
used
that
that one.
this is the age
I never read
bracket
it.
that I
But,
want
like,
to show up on my kid's tablet. But I've also used like the time limit and
as a
on
bookseller.
for
But
my
they're
kids. Yeah.
not. It has
know.
books.
Do you think
but
I
like
need it?
I wouldn't have expected it to be like books on my kid's tablet. I did expect it to be like reading apps. Exactly, but they have to read
Yeah.
to do that.
Let's wrap it up, dude.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's weird. That's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For you youngins out there, it's surprising because Amazon started
Okay.
as a bookseller.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day,
Yeah,
it comes down
well, and I have seen
to individual
some-
usage.
I've
and,
seen
you know,
some
who
things
you
that
are
like
as a
will
parent
read
and
a
who your
book
kids are.
to your kid if they know how to
I
navigate
tried to set it up because, like I said, we got ABC Mouse.
If they
and I
know
tried
how
to
to
set up
navigate
the
it is a
Amazon
big thing.
tablet
So
to
we
be- I
put
want them to
I
have
only did it on my
our
son's
usage
tablet
of
because my
this
daughter
app,
is
and you
not
can't
as
do that.
attached to her
Why you
tablet as
can't
my
do
son
that?
was.
I don't know, but like
But-
I want.
And the
I
other reason
want-
I did is because
I
that
downloaded
they went
apps
to a
on this
summer
thing.
camp
These are what
where
I
they were in
want.
different
I don't
groups, and
want
my son,
anything else. I
like,
don't
they
want
had screen
access to
time built into their
anything
day.
else. Because
So,
ABC
like,
Mouse doesn't work
they,
if you're
they
not online.
ended every day
Disney
with like
doesn't work
free
if you're not
time,
online.
screen time, so
But
we
if
could
I'm
send
online,
his
then I got all
tablet
that other crap
if we
that I don't
wanted
want.
to. So,
So
and we did
Yeah.
because we know my son loves his tablet. But then when we did that, I put a limiter on it, and I said, okay, the first 15
Mm-hmm.
minutes have to be educational apps as decided by Amazon, because I couldn't, I couldn't tell it this is what I wanted them to do, but I said educational apps for 15 minutes, and then after that you get 2 hours, like 2 hours total. So an hour and 45 minutes of playing whatever game you want to play in there. So I know that's above the recommended hour a day of high quality programming, but you do what you got to do.
It's a smart kid, dude. That's funny.
Yeah.
It turned into a little bit of a fight the first couple times it happened, and all of a sudden they ran into this. You've been on your phone so long, or it's bedtime now, or it's not. You're up too early. You're not supposed to have your tablet yet.
Yeah.
And it turned into this. Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
Well.
there was a couple of times we went on vacation and we're in the car I like to go on vacation. I like to drive through. If I get into the car
the
at
extra
7 o'clock,
Now I will say I
you've
did
got to have something to do.
eventually turn
So they're
off
on, and
the
all of a
limiter
sudden
on my
it
son's
is
tablet.
bedtime,
One, because
but they're
he stopped
awake
going to
and we're
that
in the car.
camp.
What am I going to do? So they're on their
He started
tablets,
playing
and then
the
it turns
Switch
into a
at
thing,
home
and
more than his
so now they're
tablet.
just turned off.
But really, what ended up
to set
happening
those limits,
is when we were
the
at home
hardest
on
part
weekends,
about this,
he knew
this segment
that his tablet had this
is
15 minutes
the
of educational
quality
apps before he could do anything else.
I think
And
that's
so
the-
he
the
started taking
hardest
his
bit
sister's
about
app. His
No,
sister's
like
tablet,
monitoring
and
knowing
playing with
what
it,
you're putting
and he
on,
would go trade with
knowing
her.
what they've got
And he's like,
access
"Oh,
to.
here,
Like we were saying,
you can
we
have
were
this
watching
one. I'll take
YouTubes,
yours."
And
Because he figured it
I don't
out.
know
He's
who
like,
this
"Oh, well, I
is.
don't want to play these. Hers isn't locked up. I'm going to take hers." And we were like, "Okay, well, this is not working." Yeah. Yeah, we had those as well. It was like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., which he never had his tablet past like 6, but right.
I feel like you could go through all of these like studies, and that's almost they almost say exactly the same thing. It's like, here's what you should do before your kids 2. Here's what you should do when they're 5, and then here's what you should do when they're 12, and then like after that, good luck. Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Right.
It's being aware. So really what we're trying to say is it's all about finding the right balance, right? And so you think about, what is an appropriate amount of screen time? Well, we covered for infants in age 2. As kids get older,
So there was
the
a study
recommendation
done
is a little bit longer.
that
2 to
I
5.
read about in
It's
Psychology
recommended their
Today.
screen time is about an hour per day.
From
At
Romania.
ages 5 to 8, it's
We're
important
seeing
for
a
parents
lot
to
of
still
kids
continue to
present with
monitor
these
their child's media
autism-like
usage.
symptoms.
But
and
you're not going to find a
there's some
one-size-fits-all
discussion in it of, is it a
approach
chicken or an
in
egg
this
kind of
age
deal.
range
It's
for your
really
kids.
not.
Instead, it's really up to the families
some
to
of it
determine what's right for their
genuinely
age range.
people have autism.
And once a
It
kid
is a
enters the
spectrum,
tween and teen eras,
But then there's
good luck.
a lot of like
Hey,
we see
man.
people that have
We're all in this
really
together.
dissociative
We'll figure it
traits,
out.
and they don't recognize emotions on people. They don't engage with other people really well, and that's because of the screens. And they did some studies where they take the screens away, and these kids are and they're like, we can cut that out.
Yeah, well, and every kid's different. Like my son
I've heard that
loves
one too. Yeah,
his screens. My daughter, but if my son goes outside, like I'm not saying he's like a couch potato. He's really energetic.
right.
There are times when we do just say like, okay, all screens off, and they just figure it out. And that is I think a solid tip on its own. Just turn the screens off and let your kids figure it out. Okay.
Simon Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What?
And they go back. Yeah, I've heard of this before outside of you bringing it up. I think they called it like digital autism.
This
and,
is how
and it's
TV
just
is for
when
real.
kids they're on screens too much, and they start to present some signs that you normally see with somebody on the spectrum. But when you remove the screens, things kind of go back to normal. But
Neat.
with our kids, we have a cutoff time, and it's like, okay, you've been watching TV enough.
I wish
like,
I could go back
just
to
turn
that
it off.
moment.
Go outside and play with some
'Cause
sticks.
I was the kid who was like,
Go
I
find
need
something
to
to
have
do,
that.
But
And I would love to know.
as with
I would
everything,
love to, like, go
it's
back to
spend time
before.
with your kids
Maybe I'm
and
at
what they're
back-
doing.
back to
Watch the
before.
content with
We're like,
them.
oh, that's
Don't
cool.
just give them the screen and turn a blind eye. Familiarize with the programming to make sure it's age appropriate.
So
talk to your
I
child
was-
about what they're
I
seeing.
read an
Point out good
article
behavior
where
such
that
as
they can
cooperation,
tell
friendship,
kids
concern
who
for others,
use their phone-
making
their
connections to
screens a
meaningful
lot.
events.
If you look at the
Be
parents,
aware
the
of
parents are
advertising
probably
and how
also
it
on their
influences
screens a
choices.
lot.
One thing I love right now is my kids' relationship with commercials. They don't realize that commercials are like things that you can buy. Right? It's kind of like if they see a commercial.
Yeah.
First of all, if they see a commercial on TV and we're at like a hotel and you can't skip it, they're like, "What the heck is wrong with this TV?"
Almost. Yeah, he is.
But it's like, sorry, bud, this is just how TV worked back in the day. This is a commercial, but they haven't made the connection that the commercial is trying to sell them something yet. So, like, if they see a kid with a cool toy
Look, if you
in the
are just
commercial,
honest with them,
they're like, "Oh, that's a cool toy that kid has," and that's it. There's not like, "I must have it." They don't know that that's like a thing at the store.
That's
kinda cool.
Specifically, but there have been some times where it's like, listen, dude,
Oh yeah,
I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help you. I will do whatever I can to help you, but I don't know what it is right now.
This is a big one
Yeah.
for finding the right balance. Set a good example
taking a
with
walk.
your own
Kids
safe
too.
and healthy screen habits.
Yes, and rules are meant to be broken. No.
Yeah, what we talked about at the beginning of the episode.
And we're very bad about
What are
it.
you
So,
modeling for your kids?
because
And as your kids get
it's
older,
just-
I think
if
it's
we're
totally
on our
appropriate just to have
screens,
an
like, if the
open
kids are on
discussion.
their screens, there is a
just be
reason,
honest.
which is
my
good.
son is
like you're
6.
on your screen, so I
Is
can
he
clean
6?
the house.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
You're on your screen, so
He's
I
6.
can like.
My son is 6.
I had a
and there are
rough day,
times when
you
I'm
know.
like,
They could go outside.
I've said to
and play,
him,
but they want
I don't know
me
what to
with
do
them.
about this problem,
And I
buddy,
don't-
but
I
I know it's a
don't- I mean,
problem,
I
and
wanna
we
go
need to
play
do
with
something
you,
about
but
this.
there's stuff I have to do.
You know,
and
like
that
just real honest.
kills me that I
Yeah.
have.
I know I need to punish
and I
you
can't
because
play
you made a
with
bad
you.
choice,
I'm really sorry,
but I don't know
Or
what to
can't
do here.
whatever it is with you. So
That's
here,
totally okay.
Have a tablet to play on, to watch TV on. Like I would prefer it if they didn't watch things like Super Kitties. If they didn't watch those apps that are on the tablet.
Right.
I don't want.
We're all
them
just
on
figuring
there.
this out, right? We're all just
I
trying to
pulled
walk
them
around in the
off
dad shoes,
of
man.
the Amazon Kids
So,
Plus, but they
Do
still
you
get
and
it.
your
Like,
family?
they still have those apps.
Do you have any
those
like
Dr. Panda and all
specific
that. So
screen time rules?
I don't know what to do about
that
it,
are like,
and that's something that
these are the house
I'm
rules when it comes to
constantly
screens.
working on. Is how do I figure
Oh,
that
okay.
out? But
Well, hey,
no,
that's good.
not really.
What are your like?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
At this age,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? What else am I gonna read? Okay, I'll give you that.
Oh, Super
my
Kitties.
uncle once gave me crap because I went to the bathroom with my phone. It was before
weird
TikTok.
Russian
So I don't know
family.
what I was doing, but I was probably reading something on my phone, like doing some kind of stupid research, like learning about the War of the Roses because I didn't learn that in high school. And I came back out and I missed whatever we were watching. I mean, it was only in there for like 15 minutes, but I was in there.
I
for
don't know if that
15
answered my
minutes.
question at all, but we have 2 house rules. These are 2 that my wife and I talked about.
I've done
When
that
we,
before.
maybe even before we had kids. Like these were things we talked about because we're kind of weird like that. And they were just screen time house rules. And these are ones that I plan to keep. I'm not the best at sticking to it myself, I must admit. But there's 2 rules that we plan to enforce on our kids for the entire time that they live here.
No.
The first rule, no screens in the bathroom. Why? Why do you need a screen in there? Exactly.
I like
now,
that one.
I admit I am not great at that one because I bring my phone in there all the time.
Yeah.
But like my kids will they'll have to go potty and they'll just bring their tablet and they'll set it up and they'll sit there and it's like, no guys, like.
But then it has to be the bathroom book. Never finished that book.
Yeah.
That's hard.
But it's it's electronics, it's water. I don't want like
when I was in high school,
toilet.
I would
They're
Halo had just
kids.
come out.
They don't want to drop it in the sink.
Like it was like the start of online.
We did break this
gaming.
one time. This
It's
rule
like
one time with my daughter.
Play.
I think she was sick.
We used to do LAN parties.
She wasn't feeling
then,
well.
Oh look, I can
but
do
for whatever
this
reason,
online.
she was
That's
in the
cool.
tub,
and
we had her tablet in the bathroom so she could be in the tub and watch Disney.
While I watched,
and then it was like, that's a thing now.
Comedy Central.
She's like, I want to do that every time I take a bath.
Greg
and it's like,
Pete.
no. This is not. That was an exception.
The country with
not the norm.
So
no screens in the bathroom. You don't want to damage them. They're expensive. I don't need to be in there as long.
If I'm watching TV,
and you just get a book. Like I'll put a book in there. Put a book in there that I want to read. I'm not great at that. The other screen, well, you get the bathroom book. I think it's fine. No screens in the bathroom. The other rule that I plan to enforce is one screen at a time. And I told you that I was a watch player. I would be playing a game on the computer and have the TV going. We had a mirror because the computer and the TV were on opposite walls, and I had a mirror next to the monitor so I could see the TV behind me. And you know what? That was a little ridiculous. One screen at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two screens. That is one device.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't do that as much. This one I'm a lot better at. I'd say the bigger issue is I'll be watching something and I'll pull my phone out. Like for me,
we do have that same rule.
When it comes to the kids, like
it's not
one
so
screen,
hard and
like
fast,
one screen at a time. Pay attention to one thing. Like you don't need to
TV's on
monopolize the
and the
living
kids
room,
are
especially
on their
because we
tablet.
have one
It's
TV,
usually because
one Switch.
I'm watching the news or Star
If you're
Trek
watching
or
TV
something.
and playing Switch, you
Right.
own the
But,
house.
like,
there's
if
not
they
really
wanna
anywhere
watch
else for
something,
people
like,
to
if we're
go.
gonna turn on a movie,
So yeah,
your game,
one screen at a time.
tablets are gone.
And it just attention. Like pay attention to what you're doing. Enjoy what you're working on. If you're playing a game, play a game.
Yeah,
if you're watching a movie,
happening.
watch a movie.
Nope.
So you can be invested in it. Now, I can hear
Do you
my
have any
kids
other
already.
rules? I really
But
like that.
Dad, your computer has 2 screens. That's not what I'm talking about. That is one device. One device at a time. One screen at a time.
I was just the other day.
You are at liberty to take the full capability of whatever that device can do. Right?
My kids were
I am working
in
on
their
something
playroom, and
on one screen, and I have YouTube on another screen.
They picked up the tablets.
I think that's fine. That's
And
legit.
then
Call me a liar,
I
call me a
realized
hypocrite, whatever you want.
my
I think that's
youngest
fine.
is
When my
sitting
kids get older
on
and
the
they can
potty
do that,
with
I'm
her
okay with
tablet
that.
up by the
Because again, it's
sink,
not just
and
like
she's I was like,
your
how
attention;
long
it's
have you
also
been there, kid?
fairness to the rest of the family.
You said that, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. You're not watching. You're not watching Super
It's
Kitties
like,
on the tablet.
What was that? Forgetting
and
Sarah
watching Buzz
Marshall, where the
Lightyear on
guy
TV.
goes.
Not happening.
The guy goes out to learn to surf, and then the surfing instructor's like, "Oh man, I don't have a watch."
No,
He goes, "Man,
sir.
good for you." He's like, "Yeah, I got a phone. It's got a clock right on it."
Yeah, those are 2 big ones. And
It's
one
the
day
same
when
thing.
my kids are old enough to
Yeah.
call me on it, I will start following that rule myself.
I mean, I think we can say number 1 together. It's definitely going to be Bluey. Fantastic! It is. It really is a show that is meant for. I don't know why Disney. I don't know if it's Disney or what,
yeah.
but they keep editing out things.
We don't
Like
need any
in what was it,
problems
Boomerang? The
from
Boomerang
that.
episode.
I remember one
Bandit's
time
dad's
too when
talking about getting a
this was
vasectomy,
earlier in
but
my wife and I's marriage.
in
I was talking with somebody. I'm
yeah,
like, "Yeah, we only have
Bandit
one TV,
or Dad.
one TV in the living room, no TV in the bedroom." And they're like, "Wow, man, good for you." I was like,
We
have a
heard
phone.
he was thinking about getting his dog.
It's
teeth
not like
pulled. What if I
reading
wanna bite
books, you know.
somebody? It's like, well, come on. First of all, one of those one of those things provides an acceptable outcome, and the other one is assault. You know,
Yeah.
So
Same thing.
they cut out some weird
Same thing.
things, bringing it to
So
America.
we've been promising this all the way through. So what are some positive, high quality
on infertility? They've
screen
touched on.
time
I mean, not just parents, but
applications
adults.
or shows?
And they've touched
that
on
you can
miscarriages.
recommend?
They've touched on death. It's so good.
Bluey.
Like, I think my kids
It's a fantastic
know what
show.
death is.
It
Because
really
of
is. It's so good.
Yeah, my daughter said something the other day about it
For
died,
both.
and I'm like,
Especially these
and the
new
way she
episodes we
said
just
it.
got.
what?
Yeah, you can see it on TikTok though.
Oh.
Oh yeah. No, it was Bandit.
She
Bandit
didn't
was
say
talking.
anything incorrect.
He
It's
was
all-
talking
it's all
about
relative.
getting a vasectomy, and then in the American version,
You're old in
Yeah, I know.
comparison to her, and you're going to die soon when you know, in relation to your great grandkids. You're gonna die sooner than your great grandkids, so
yeah,
it's all
seriously.
relative. But okay, so we
It's
got.
like, I don't
Bluey
know
out,
how
but we
many more of
definitely
these things I
grew
want
up.
running around.
I love PBS Kids. There's a few things like
Yeah.
I'm over.
But still, solid show for parents and kids.
I like Molly of Denali.
Mm.
I think it's fantastic. It's not very educational, maybe a little bit. I can't get my kids to watch it anymore. My oldest does not like it.
Oh yeah,
Wildcrats.
we might have to go back and watch that episode.
Yep.
You know what my kids say to me about death? My daughter will come up to me and say,
So there was a time
Daddy,
when
you're
Curious
old.
George was
Means you're
almost
gonna
our,
die soon.
our nightly routine.
I'm gonna miss you. Like,
It was definitely a
I hope I
morning
don't
routine
die any
for a while,
too soon.
but not so much anymore.
She did not. Like, I hope
Nature
it's
Cat.
not soon. And
I
then
wish
she'll
my
kind of
kids
get
would watch it.
sad.
Nature Cat
She's
and Molly
like,
of Denali. I
she's
wish
like,
they would
you're
watch those more.
old. You're gonna die.
It's a good show. It's SNL for kids with animals.
Yeah. That is
Yeah,
true.
I don't remember what that one's
is
called. That
true.
one we've been watching lately.
We got Bluey out of the way, yeah. I think we both love
Yeah.
PBS Kids. Yeah. Let's say specific. Like, what are your
So
kids
I
watching
listened
on
to
PBS Kids?
Daniel and Jorge explain the universe. It's not like a daily podcast I listen to.
Yeah.
It's
think we
released
watched Molly
once or
Denali
twice a
yet.
week, but I like it. So if an episode
It's a
pops
bummer.
up that I want to listen to, then I'll listen to it. But it's not like a
Wildcrats.
go-to.
Yeah.
But
Right
anyways,
now
one
we
of the
go back and
guys
forth between Wildcrats, which
a
is like
cartoonist, and
nature show.
He started doing this a
and,
show. It's called
Curious
Eleanor
George
Wonders
is the other
Why.
one that my kids go back and forth
And
between.
it's like his kid is Eleanor, like his actual kid's name is Eleanor, and he basically
Curious
this
George
whole
solid.
idea came from her because she's a curious kid, and it was very cool.
Yeah.
So I wanted to
I know
start
you've talked
watching
about
that. but
Nature
personally,
Cat a
I'm
lot
not a fan.
before.
It's good. It's not bad. It's just yeah.
My kids, they come in and out of Nature Cat. They got into Nature Cat lately, which is
Yep.
good. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. What else is on PBS Kids?
Nah,
Do you watch one with
it's
a sea
okay.
monster?
Right.
Jelly, something, and Pogo. That one's okay. Those are short. You don't learn anything, except maybe about their culture of the show.
Right. See, I hated Sesame Street. Huh. Huh. Right.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, so we never got into Sesame Street because I never liked it as a kid. I didn't like Sesame Street. My dad didn't like Sesame Street. And it was like it was one of the shows we could watch. But he didn't want to watch it. So when it was cartoon day, we didn't watch it. So
My kids
I
have
don't like
only
it
watched a
because of
little bit
that.
of that because one day I like in the PBS Kids app you can pick like
What's that?
live TV, and I don't know if it's
No.
live or something else, but we did that once and it was Eleanor Wonders Why,
Oh, I have
and we
Netflix.
watched a little bit of it, but I can't get them to come back to that one. There's a couple shows that I wish my kids would watch more.
Okay.
I feel like my son learned a lot watching Sesame Street, but now that like he's kind of over that now, and I feel like my daughter has suffered by not having the ability to watch Sesame Street because my son never wants to watch it. So she's like, "Meh." You know, they do like Mecha Builders, which is a Sesame Street property that is on HBO Max. Max now, just Max. They like that one. It's not.
Is it based
It's
on
not as
ChatGPT?
educational as Sesame Street, like letters and numbers, which is where my daughter needs help. But it's more like problem solving, which is kind of cool.
Like Elena of Avalor is pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last show I'll put out there is Storybots.
It's a good show.
You haven't watched Storybots yet?
There's-
oh my gosh,
yeah, there's
it's on
that,
Netflix.
there's
There's
Mirror
like
of the
several
Royal
iterations of it. It is.
It's very similar.
It's similar setup.
It's almost like
to
it was written
Sesame
by the same
Street
people
in
because
that
the
they
hooks are
have
very
like
similar. It's
celebrity
like,
cameos.
Oh no!
They have like
now I'm stuck.
segments.
Well, I gotta know what happened.
Like each
And
show, it's not the same
you
segments.
feel
Like
like,
Sesame
"That's
Street, you get the
stupid. I
same
should be
segments
watching
depending
this
on the letter and the
kids'
number.
stuff,
But this one's like you'll get like the premise is they get asked a question by a kid and they have to answer the question, and so the whole time the Storybots are like researching, but whatever they research first is like not the right thing.
Yeah, we
It's
only
like a
got rid of
different-
those.
like,
We don't
it's
do
close,
Mickey
but it's
Mouse
not really the
anymore
right
because
thing,
we
and then they
ran
go to the
into a
next thing.
problem.
That's not a very good description of it.
No.
No.
I walked in on them.
No,
the
I don't
other
think
day.
it is.
They were watching
But
Mickey Mouse. I don't know if
but
it was
it's
Clubhouse. I
it's
think it
good.
was the
It's
Fun
fantastic.
House,
My kids
the
love it.
newer
It's
episode.
on Netflix. You might
Or
find
like
it a
the
couple other
Rally
places.
Racers or something.
There's a lot of different like series of Storybots. There's books
Yeah,
of
but
Storybots that
it's
my
like
kids
okay,
have.
you can watch that.
Yeah,
It's
check
not like
that
a
one out.
hard
Check
fast
that out
no
for
for
sure.
me. We stopped with a hard fast no because that is
Elena of Avalor is good. That one you got to be careful.
yeah.
You got to be careful because you'll get hooked. My wife gets hooked all the time.
Well, I've already
And
said.
it's like, babe,
say
we
it
got
one more
stuff to
time,
do.
ABC Mouse
okay?
is what we
Like,
have, and
this episode's coming to an end.
It's okay. It's pretty good if you
I
can
don't
get
think
the
we've
kids
watched that
on it.
one yet. Yeah.
It's not free. It is not free. More than anything, my kids play with their hamster. They have a pet hamster, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a pet hamster, there's a pet cat. They've got these pets on it, and they'll do that more than they'll do their learning.
I mean,
track,
I think
which is
in
like,
general,
go
Disney,
on this app.
aside from Super Kitties,
But
oh my
I
goodness.
found
Disney
Code
Plus
Carts.
has some good, like
Have you heard
Disney
of Code
Junior,
Carts?
Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, Mickey Mouse Funhouse, all those. Those are pretty good.
It is a game where you drive a go-kart, but you don't just drive a go-kart. You have to tell the go-kart how to drive.
Too much.
And the
Mickey
whole
Mouse.
concept is like when you're coding on a computer. I don't code, you don't code, but when you're coding, what you're doing is telling the computer how to accomplish a function.
Yeah.
Whether it's
They're all,
putting
like,
in letters or
the
whatever,
same but different.
you're
I don't
coding it to do that. So you have to code this cart to go straight, make a left, make a right, turn around, whatever. You have to put the turns in the right.
Well, I'll switch gears a little
location,
bit
so it'll
for
drive
apps.
based on the code.
Some
that you
apps
put in.
that
So
we
it's
like.
supposed to teach coding, and yeah, it's neat. It's neat. I've seen my
It's the
kids
ABC
playing
Mouse,
it organically a time or two.
It's not free, and that's why I don't use it.
Give me some.
I've heard good things, but it's not free.
Be careful. Just,
Oh yeah, on ABC Mouse. That's cute.
You're recommending the caution.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not heard of Code Carts. That sounds like something my son would
Oh.
like.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Well, let's check it out.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of cool. I'll have to check that out. Yeah. Yeah. Let's I don't know do you have a lot more apps? Otherwise I kind of want to rapid fire
Interesting.
through a couple. Um YouTube Kids app. Be careful. I'm not necessarily recommending that one. I'm just saying you can find stuff, but be careful. Be careful. I'm recommending that you're cautious about YouTube Kids. Two apps that my wife and I both keep on our phones as a like I need to give you my phone because we're in the store and you're losing your mind. Khan Kids, Khan Academy Kids.
Is it a free app, or do you only get it because you're
which is like learning app? This one is free.
For it?
It's not like Learning Plan. It's not as like you're not going through lessons as much like ABC Mouse, but it is a learning app, and that's one that my kids like to do. And then we are a Christian family, so we have Bible for Kids, which is a neat little app that just kind of goes through some Bible stories, give them some things to click on.
We have,
so my kids enjoy that as well.
Through my
and the last one I'll put out there is
that's how
actually
we can
check
communicate
with your
the
kid's
teacher.
school. Because I know my
really
son has
everybody in the
access to
school,
a whole
so, like,
bunch of learning and game
there are
apps
parent groups
from the
in
school
the
district.
app. It's really
that
weird.
I
I really wanted to be super involved in it, but
whatever else he has to
anyways.
do, just different like learning apps that he gets as a part of being in the school district. They do them at school, and you just get the login. He can do it at home too. He's supposed to do like 45 minutes of it a week, and it's really like math and reading and science questions and
That's I don't
really
think it's ever too early to
educational,
let the kids
like
come
school
in,
approved
allow them
things. So
to
check with
give
your
their,
school. Maybe your school
their
has
input,
different apps
because
that
they
your
are
kids are using.
part of the family.
I know
It's not
I
just
already
a
visited
dictatorship.
one.
It is a family. We do need to talk to one another and be respectful of each other's
I don't know.
ideas.
I've never
And
looked
if
before
you
my kid was in
bring
school.
them in,
So
then they can take
I think
ownership. It's
it,
just
it
like
probably
managing
does
anybody,
cost money
right?
to use, and the
They can
school's
take
paying for it
ownership of
as a part of
something
him
that
being
they
there,
have helped
because the
create,
teachers
like a
can
plan
assign
for
work
screen time
through
So
the
that
app.
is, I like
Like
that.
they send you like, hey,
we
these
hope
are the
you've
things he
enjoyed
needs
this
to work
episode
on.
of the Dad Shoes podcast. We hope it shed light on the delicate balance you need to play with your kids and screen time. It's all about finding the right balance and fostering healthy habits. Just remember to lead by example and be an active participant in your children's screen time choices, because if you're on your phones, they're on their phone.
Interesting.
So they will learn.
Screens
from
are
you.
here to stay, whether you like it or not, and they can offer many positives. It's never too late to develop a screen time plan with your family. Let your kids share in the fun as well. They have ideas and concerns and some things they want to do. Build a plan together as a family, because the best advice we can give is do it
Peace.
together. They learn it from you. Please leave us a review on your preferred podcast platform and share it with other parents who might benefit from this discussion as well. We appreciate your support. Join us next week for another insightful episode of the Dad Shoes Podcast. Until then, keep those dad shoes on and make the most of your journey through parenthood.